So, hi, beautiful ones. Welcome to Beyond Tea, number, I think, 65 by now. So, beautiful to see all of you from all parts of the world. Giacomo in Bali, Uwe in Bulgaria, Cristiani, you're in Germany, right? Uh-huh. We have Topaz in France, Isabel in France, and then Clementina, Gitika in India. And Clementina, I don't know exactly where you are. I think
Madeira.
maybe in Madeira.
Oh,
Amazing.
wow.
Cool. From Macedonia to Madeira. That's a nice trip. And Frank, I think, is in Switzerland. So yeah, beautiful to see you all, guys. Yeah, Madeira we really loved. We were there last year for quite a long, I think, a few months. Really beautiful. So cheers, let's raise the cups and
Another beautiful
welcome.
Saturday. Thank you for joining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wonderful selection of cups.
Yeah, I love it.
Hope the content is also
as wonderful as the
wonderful
cups.
The cup.
It is. It's totally. This is a conscious and a subconscious. We're gonna look from below.
Hey, Hannah. Nice
Hey,
to
Hannah.
see you.
Ah, what a beautiful smile. Yes. So today we talk about subconscious mind. And it's interesting that we went through 65 episodes and we are touching subconscious mind only now. Being that it is such an important part of how we make decisions, where our life ends up going in spite of our decisions, and how important the whole concept is.
In order of priorities, this should be definitely the session number 1, how your life works in general. What makes it happen, what creates events in your life. So, well, 65 episodes later, we woke up to the fact that we haven't actually shared about it. So it's time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we are making a new course, and this is going to be such an important part of it. So we definitely want to see where you guys are with your understanding about it, how much you have control over it, what you are actually doing to put it under some sort of control. So like usual, we're gonna start with turning it to you and asking you if you had a situation in life where you were trying really to put an intention that something happens, and repeatedly it wouldn't actually happen. So is there a situation like that you would able to share? And another way to put that question is, do you have a way to actually work with your subconscious mind? Do you have some techniques, some way that how aware are you of what you can do with your subconscious mind? So either of those two, just let us know how is it for you guys.
And it's not necessarily just one situation. It's generally, where do you feel that your life doesn't meet your expectations and stubbornly goes the other direction than what you would like?
Yeah. Repeatedly goes in another direction, regardless of what kind of intentions you're putting. So do you have something like that in your experience to share? Yes, Uwe. Hey,
Hi,
Anna.
Yeah, I can share a little bit. So I think when I was around my 20s or so, I came across a hypnotherapist who was practicing in the US, and he gave these workshops where you could learn to hypnotize yourself, basically. and rewrite the program. It wasn't NLP, but it was something similar to it, I assume, in a way. And I did this for a while. I lost track, to be honest. I didn't do this. I did not do this since many years. But at that time, when I did this, I remember it worked like a charm. It worked very, very well. It was a very powerful technique. And to reprogram whatever is going on, or to maybe envision a future, and then it comes through the next day. And I remember it worked really, really well. And yeah, I think I don't pay so much attention to it anymore. And mostly my surrounding I'm very happy with, and things are turning out to be good. So maybe that's the reason why I'm not so focused at this anymore. But I like the picture. It looks really great. And you came slowly. You built up to this topic. I like it too. So didn't rush into it.
Yeah, we had about 65 weeks of preparation, so now we can talk about it. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Great. One of the ways to access is through hypnotherapy. Really, really cool. Yes, Luca.
Hi guys, after a long time, it's very nice to see you.
Nice to see you guys.
We have a friend who is working with a technique. It's I mean, you're working on a like a conscious level, but it goes into subconscious. It's like a protocol that you follow with questions, so that the therapist is asking questions, and it's like a protocol that you follow several times. It has to do with emotional response, emotional response to certain people or certain things that happened, and you start that way, that there are strong responses, like a lot of either you're very pulled to that thing, or you want to go away. So it's through this protocol you level these things up, so you don't feel the emotional tension anymore towards any of these opposites. And I think it works really well. We did it a few times, and I think we will use it more, because I think it's mostly, when I meditate, I notice that there are some things in my subconscious that I'm not aware of when I'm going around about my business. So when you do this technique, also these emotional attachments become more apparent. So I think it has to do a lot with that. And sometimes we get blocked in this situation, not wanting something and wanting something else, but it blocks us from performing our daily activities in that way that we would move onward.
Great. So this technique is helping you to actually become aware of what's going on in the subconscious mind, if I'm understanding well. Great. Thank you for sharing, Luca. Great. Yeah, definitely a very important function to see what's going on in there, because we usually have no idea. Clementina, yes, I saw your hand. Unmute yourself, please.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you. I've been following some of these sessions, and it's been so good. It was recommended by one of my clients initially a long time ago, like almost 2 years ago. So I'm really enjoying that.
Very welcome.
So yeah, so I'm actually pretty kind of like obsessed with the subconscious mind. That's what I do. I'm a coach, a transformational coach, and a shadow work guide, and I love to work on a deep level And interestingly enough, I honestly haven't even been trained in this. I've gotten a lot of coaching myself. I've been coached so much. I've gotten so much, shadow work done on me that at one point I launched a business course, and I was like, well, because I've launched one startup before, and it was the wrong thing to do, even though it was amazing, but it didn't fulfill who I am and my core needs. And then I was like, but I have to include shadow work, because how will people know what kind of business they want to create and how they want to create it? Took the risk, included shadow work in it, and I was like, then got completely frightened if I'm going to be able to deliver, talk to my mentors. Finally, I did it, and it went like a charm, like amazing results. And since then, this has become a main work. So it seems that it's really natural for me to work in that, but I haven't been trained so much into all the details and theory, but it comes very intuitively to me. So yeah, that's where, I work with that. And on the other hand, I'm so keen to learn from you. So one of my challenges, I feel like a lot of the things in my life I have succeeded. Probably I haven't maybe put the bar has been always high, but now I'm like, what else is possible? But there's one specific thing in my life, and I've constantly struggled with, is being busy. It's still there as a pattern. And now it drives me a bit crazy in the past few weeks. I'm like, no, this has to change somehow, it's a strategy that I've acquired. So being busy is still a pattern, and that's something I haven't been able to work through. And I really want to do one of your other sessions around masculine and feminine, because I feel like integrating the feminine is where I'm at. I'm very good in my masculine, but integrating my feminine is where I'm at. So that's pretty much where I'm at. There was something else I wanted to say, but I'm sure it's going to come up after. Yeah, there's one question. Especially, I wanted to come for this question just to see how you explain it. It's like, sometimes I'm unsure if I should call it subconscious mind or subconscious. Is it bigger than the mind? So that's something that comes up sometimes for me in my language, and I'm like unsure a bit how to use it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Great
question.
Yeah
we'll address it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And just to say that sometimes it's actually, with dealing with these kind of things that are so far out, sometimes it's actually even better not to get the training, because it can be very constraining in what the politics of approach to, especially when it deals with consciousness, subconscious mind, and those kinds of things. There is politics of what science wants to deal with and what they kind of stubbornly decline to even look at. So sometimes the best training is working on yourself and actually finding out firsthand experience what you're dealing with. So yeah, totally good to hear that you jumped into that based on your own experience. That's the best way to learn, experiential learning. So yeah, we will address these questions for sure. So yeah, thank you for chiming in.
Hannah?
Yes, Hannah.
Yeah, you guys know since we've been working together, my biggest blockage was always the relationship. And so it wouldn't work no matter how much work we put into it. We did so many sessions, and 2 years, 3 years, nothing really moved. And then end of last year, kind of the switch kind of moved. And it's even funny because my partner has nothing to do with any kind of inner work or healing or psychology terms. But he literally told me, it feels like you don't have this subconscious baggage, of all these fears and all those patterns or sabotaging things. Refreshing. And I just had to smile because
done some work.
Of all the work we've done, and it's still for years, it still wouldn't move and shift in no way. And just now after we had a month or two where it felt like something was still dragging and stuck. But then on some point it just switched, and since December it's been such a smooth ride and just getting better and better and better. And so I feel that, you know, we've cleared up the thing, and the entrance hole was still blocked. And once this was removed, it was obvious like how cleared and how beautiful all the other things were kind of put into a new order. So that's been kind of evidence for me to see, like, you know, sometimes the immediate results are not, sometimes they are, you know, like whenever we did a session, I found a new reality afterwards. But for the biggest dreams, which have the most desire and energy in it, this sometimes can take a while until we see the benefits that with this inner work and this energetic alignment and adjustment that we do, how much it is worth. So I'm enjoying the fruits of many sessions and many retreats and courses and daily observations with you guys. And yeah, it's been a pleasure like this. It's been really a pleasure.
Yeah, it's amazing, and thank you, Hannah, for actually pointing out the worth of the work that you have invested in yourself, because that is also, you know, something that we rarely acknowledge, that it does for big dreams with big baggages, with big bags full of stuff. It does take time, but going through it and not giving up and just shedding one by one, emptying the bag, there is an end to it, and that's so cool. So bravo. Thank you.
And isn't it such relief to live life and walk the earth without all that baggage? It's like, how amazing we can breathe like that. Beautiful, beautiful to hear.
And amazing also that someone who you say is not super into it could so exactly pinpoint what was different about you. It's amazing. Because it's actually true. You do not have the subconscious baggage that comes with you attached to your person. Yes.
But it takes work, guys. It really takes work. It takes work and it takes patience, because there's a lot that we have there, and partially like that iceberg in that cover photo. We see a little bit and we get hints, but how do we get to it is really not that direct and easy. Usually we get to it by observing our reality. That's our mirror, and people around us. Someone else would like to share what is your level of work with the subconscious, and if there is a persistent thing that keeps coming up and you're unable to solve in your life, which would hint very strongly that the root of it is in the subconscious mind. Frank, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I guess one of the things which we often have is when we run against the wall, like over and over again, you know, like we're banging our heads against the wall and somehow it doesn't shift. I guess that's when you have to take a step back and not just repeat the same pattern all over again, but really see, okay, what's actually going on here? And I think that's really a part of the subconscious mind, which is oftentimes blocking us. And I think you were mentioning it at the beginning, that if something is not shifting, then we can make, I don't know, like manifestations or meditate or whatever, but there's something else which we need to look at. And yeah, I mean, I'm in the process of doing those things in different areas. But yeah, as you said, it takes work, and sometimes it also can get really frustrating, you know, because when stuff is not shifting, or what Hannah just said, like she worked on it for 3 years before it actually shifted. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really a patient person, so yeah, as I said, it can get frustrating as well. So.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, actually. Thank you, Frank, for sharing this. Definitely can get frustrating. And when it gets frustrating, it's, you know, we uncover part of the problem, we work on it, we think we solved it, but actually we haven't touched the root. And that's actually what we're going to try to share today is how to get to the root of those things, because it's like a weed. Things that we carry in the subconscious mind is like a weed plant, and if we keep plucking the leaves, at some point, yes, we will get rid of it, but it will take a lot of time. If we go directly for the root, then we are able to cut the whole thing out. So that's what we're going to try to look at. So this automatically shows that many of the techniques, so working on the subconscious mind, could be effective, but could be looking at the thing that is not a root, and they can actually not work as efficiently if we fail to find what to actually work on.
Mm-hmm. And I have a little comment on banging the head on the wall. So, for example, in Hannah's case, all the sessions that we did towards this goal of relationship actually did have immediate result in shifting the reality, but it's not like the relationship would be that immediate result. But every transformation did have open a different layer of possibilities and reality. So when you do the work and it actually doesn't shift anything in your reality, that means you're the wrong technique or something is really not working. But whatever you do, even if your biggest goal is not immediate result, there has to be some shift in reality. That's how you know that you're doing something that is bringing you a step closer, let's say.
Yeah. No, I get that. It's really also about acknowledging the small steps and the small successes. So definitely, and then you also see, okay, you're going steps further. You're not like stuck in the same place. But as I said, like it's sometimes difficult if you're not as patient, or you want this results earlier, and then like to acknowledge when you did have some small success.
Exactly. Patience also is something that comes from subconscious, by the way. I know all about it.
Thank you, Frank. Beautiful sharing.
So, any other sharings, or we jump right in?
Hi.
Claudia, hi.
Good to see you.
Okay, then maybe we start with clarifying the first question. What is the subconscious mind? Do you call it mind, or is it just subconscious? So how does it work? And for that you can take our cover picture with the iceberg. So this is exactly how it looks like. The conscious mind is the tip of the iceberg, the one that we see and have kind of control over. And the subconscious mind is our mind's invisible part. So however you call it, we call it mind because it's, the one part of that universal mind is capable of rational thinking. That is the conscious mind. And the other part of that same mind is not able of conscious thinking. That's why we call it unconscious or subconscious, because we don't see it. We don't see what it's doing, and we do not have clear idea of what's in there. Yet they are exactly part of the same thing, visible and invisible. So call it how you want. Just understand that it's all part of your own intelligence, the one that has a power to direct it, and the other one who has power to make it, to manifest things in your life. So
to answer your question, Clementina, this is actually, you can choose your own nomenclature because it depends on, which tradition calls it what. So as long as you understand, if you call a layer of your existence the mind body, so part of that mind body would be conscious mind and subconscious mind. If you just call it consciousness, then you call it conscious and unconscious. It's really up to you, and you will see when you read different traditions, they refer to them in different way, but it means the same thing. It points to the same experiential area. And the experiential area is the programmable part of our hardware that, holds this software that will actually express itself in the material world through how we react. So if you can map that awareness around it, that's enough. It is like hidden files. So hidden directories and hidden files. And we like to put the parallel as an app that doesn't have an icon. So if you have a phone and you have an app that works in the background and no icon to uninstall it, then it's in unconscious. So what we want to do is find a way how to get to the app without the visible icon.
Some of you have these annoying inbuilt apps that you cannot close, you cannot delete. They're just annoyingly like the Bixby thing that always pops out, and and it's frustrating because it's there and it pops out when you don't want it, you don't need it, and
plus it spies on you and it kind of downloads other stuff and like does a lot of things that you don't necessarily want your phone or your body to do. So it's very appropriate parallel. Hidden app.
So what is the potential and function of this subconscious part of our mind? Yeah. So we, in our terminology, will refer it as a subconscious mind because it is a part of the bigger mind. It's united mind. It's the mind that connects to all other minds. Yeah. So sometimes, when we're saying we're giving command to the universe, actually, the universe is the united mind, unified mind, where everything is possible, where everything is interconnected, where every information is available for everyone that has ability to tap into it. So that is the universal mind, and we embody a fraction of it for ourselves in our physical being. So that is literally the field of miracles, of every possibility that you can think of. There are no limits to what subconscious mind is able to bring through in your life. Literally no limits at all. So the only limits is ourselves. Yeah. So we're the only person that can stop ourselves from manifesting like full magic and miracles in your lives. That's personally us. Yeah. But what is inbuilt in our hardware is absolutely limitless possibility. We can be whatever we want to be, and it's not even exaggeration. So believe if we are saying it now at this point, is that it really has everything that you would ever need. So how are we being the only obstacle for all these miracles to happen? Because our conscious mind, unfortunately for us, is the one that directs our life. That directs our life through giving orders to subconscious.
So it's almost like an interface of dealing with the deeper underlying consciousness. And what's interesting actually to make a point here is that this subconscious mind is actually connected to the wider universe of creation. And we can actually experience that firsthand when we are in non-ordinary states of consciousness. This is where we are able to actually interact with the underlying intelligence of the universe and actually observe even how universes are created and to participate in creation of the universes around our own desires and preferences. So it is the huge interface to connecting and interacting with the universe. That's how we can look at it. It's almost like our own little puddle that plugs into the ocean of universal consciousness. Mm-hmm. That's what the field of unconscious is.
And it has totally no limits. So we have this ocean of all possibilities, and we're the little box that translates it into some kind of reality. Yeah, but because that little box has the final word to say, yeah, how it wants it to be, then we're choosing sometimes not the optimum possibilities out of everything that's available. Yeah. So all the scarcity emotions, everything comes from our conscious decisions of how we want that life to be. Yes, Uwe.
Uwe.
You mentioned the little puddle in the ocean. So do we know actually what is in between or how they are connected with each other? Maybe you can talk a little
Yes.
Yeah.
Great question. I maybe didn't give the right picture because it's already connected. So it's almost like if instead of calling it a puddle in the wider ocean, we can call it like a little warm stream. You know how when you're swimming, sometimes you feel the warm stream of water. So it's all interconnected. So maybe we can call it a little cloud of gas within the wider atmosphere. That's maybe the more appropriate way to picture it because it's already plugged. It's not disconnected. So it is, once that we dive into the subconscious, we are already connected to the universal mind as well at the same time. Yeah,
So,
Luca wanted to add.
Yeah, but so what? How does it connect? What is the difference? Where is the line between the conscious and subconscious? The line is in our beliefs. So we have gotten out of field of all possibilities a bunch and set of complex belief systems, and we navigate and we operate within that little bundle of belief systems. If you would have a button to press and kind of cancel all the beliefs, which is psychedelic state, yeah, that boom, you push the button and all your thinking falls apart, just drops, well, then you are into pure field of consciousness.
Then you are in what I have explained just to Uwe. So then there is no boundary. So those boundaries between the lake and the wider ocean of universal consciousness, we slowly build, and we will illustrate how we build it since we are born and on. Luca, you wanted to add something to this?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in my experience, this connection between, I mean, I think it's like you said, it's not about connecting to a separate part of us. It's more about us being aware or able to shift attention to a wider part of us, which is, it's always the part of us, but we're just not aware of it. So I think
exactly.
For me it feels like that. The more I go deep into meditative states, the more I have the feeling that it's like, you know, most of the time we are focused in outward direction, but then when we manage to turn our attention inwards, it's sort of like it just turns around. It's like a sock, you know.
Yes.
Exactly.
Around and then suddenly you're not in this small shell through which you are, you know, like looking always like this. Then suddenly you just open your eyes and then you see all directions at once.
Exactly.
Yes.
But it's hard. It's a long process to make the mind adapt to this kind of unfocused focus.
So yeah, Luca, I get what your experiential truth is. Actually, when you say putting your attention to actually feeling deeper and deeper this connection with the universal mind, that's when we start working with conscious mind, who is actually directing your attention. But by default, without even putting any attention anywhere, you are completely plugged in it, and we all are since birth. But we are completely distracted by, you know, having other technical things to solve, to learn how to speak words, to, you know, like learn certain subjects and stuff like that. But from the beginning, we are part of this already. So then later on, we learn how to slowly use our conscious mind to explore to which levels am I even able to interact with this. because to consciously interact with it, you have to put the concentration of the conscious mind on the part of it to kind of be able to scan it, because it goes so deep. This connection goes right to the source of all existence, and we are not by default ready. And levels of energy to actually interact with this are increasingly higher and higher the deeper we go, farther and farther away we go from the purely human experience. Because we get, for example, then to the level where, in fraction of seconds, there are like tens generations are, waving in and out of existence and so forth. So anyway, not to kind of spread the Evia is pushing me a little bit to kind of shorten it up. So I will kind of go back to just say we are plugged to it completely, and then we start building little walls of disconnection from it as we go through different levels of programming that we are taken through our life. We will illustrate now actually how it happens.
So the way to connect the subconscious mind, yes, it's unfocused focus, it's meditation, more of that meditative state you can bring in your daily awareness. More you will be in permanent kind of connection and flux between the two states of the mind. But yet it doesn't solve the problem that what we have created in our little box, in a little experience, which is based on misperceptions, wounds, and other glitches, the access to this universal consciousness does not by itself solve our glitches. And that's where it becomes interesting, because although we could be the masters of the universe, we actually consciously have chosen to live in these little restricted boxes. But it takes an extra lucidity to be aware of this system that is going on, and that's where the conscious healing work happens, or the shadow work, as Carolina says, to understand where are you holding the glitch, what is the glitch, where is its root, and deprogram it from there. And this is phenomenal tool. I have to say, you guys, like whatever we do, we always come back to this one simple understanding that we have a power to change everything about ourselves, like literally every aspect of our lives. And it's always there, it's always available. But it takes so much kind of conscious focus to find where exactly, what needs to be shifted in your conscious mind, subconscious mind, to move the reality. And that's the whole game, basically. That's the whole game of life. How do we take more and more power to our conscious part, from all that is available?
So the actual idea is we have incarnated in this particular body and on this particular planet with our conscious decision to actually play this game. We'll be able to play all the other games of different planets, different level of consciousness after we leave this body. But now, when we go into the meditation, it's interesting to observe all those levels. But what we want to learn is how to come back with what we have seen there and do something concrete in this world with it, because that's the fun part of being in this body and on this planet.
So, on a very, very basic and practical level, subconscious mind goes with the formula: you reap what you sow. Whatever you have seeded in the subconscious mind, this is what you see sprouting in your reality. As a rule, we don't see what's under the ground. We can only see it happening already, above. So if our lives look like a field of weeds, we must have seeded them there. Because the quality of subconscious mind is that it manifests all the time, every day, 24 hours, never stops. It dutifully brings us the reality that we have commanded it to bring. On a physical level, health, relationships, money, every area of our life. It's a beautiful machine that never ever sleeps or stops. It just manifests all the time.
And how do we see the things there is, we can imagine that it's really like the recorder, either tape recorder, MP3 recorder, whatever. The moment that we come into, the moment we are connected to the consciousness, it starts recording all the experiences and all the interactions. It doesn't stop. Records through the process of birth, right after birth, right before you learn to speak and say anything. It records sensations, feelings, emotions, and when you start understanding words, then also the concepts that come with words and interactions with parents and so forth. So everything is recorded, and we know in hypnotic states we can get to everything that has been recorded on personal level, and then on interpersonal level it's also connected with other humans have recorded throughout history. So
it's a mega memory that never runs out of storage space, a mega memory of every little detail. There have been experiments that a person is taking a train and doing a whole trip, Nice, Paris, for example, and then they are brought into hypnotic state, and they can tell exactly what color of coat was a woman wearing in a particular station. Every little detail of what is perceived through the eyes has been recorded and stays there forever to be retrieved if needed. So every detail of your childhood that you don't remember actually is still recorded and accessible through hypnosis. Every word that you have heard.
So then guess whose words are the most recorded in your subconscious storage space? Well, probably those ones with whom you have spent your first 7 years of life, your parents. They're the ones who have been the whole world we had for the first 7 years of our life. There was no one else. It was just them. We depended on food, shelter, emotions, everything. The whole world interaction was coming through them. So this is number one source of programming that we have. What they thought, what they spoke, what they didn't say, what they just thought, we sponged up in that first 7 years, and this is one big layer of programming that we have received.
Like think of those books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and how it's well explained that the kids of rich dad inherit the mentality and the way of thinking about life, which then start creating their life. And the poor dad's children will inherit that kind of mindset. So we do have this default programming, and there's a reason for that. But the good thing is that as any program, it can be deprogrammed if only we know exactly where to look for it. So the subconscious mind doesn't have a preference. It can bring you disasters, it can bring you bliss, it can bring you money, it can bring you poverty. It does not have any discernment of what's good for you. Yeah? But because you are the one giving the orders, you have to be very, very specific. If you are trying to kind of enhance your life by, let's say, happy emotions or abstract happy emotions, or you want to be happy, the subconscious mind doesn't react to that because it's very simplistic. It reacts on short and strong orders. For example, when we those of you who were with us on Make-A-Wish course, we touched upon it, how to formulate a wish. All the complex poetic wishes that sound good actually do not register in subconscious mind. It doesn't work that way. It works with specific commands, exactly like like a computer programming. What you wouldn't do with a computer, you wouldn't type elaborate paragraph in a programming. You would go straight to what the exact command is about. Yeah. So this is a misperception in how we think and how we speak. Yeah. And the subconscious mind only reacts to short and specific and precise commands that are combined with feeling and emotion. Yeah. And this is how we talk to our subconscious mind. If we talk in complex or nondescript ways, it's a sound. If we come up with a specific order, it's like, same in a restaurant. You don't you're specific, you know what you want, so you order exactly what you want and how you want. And plus, if you can add a feeling about it, then it goes straight into the letterbox and is submitted to subconscious mind. So we had it in a Make-A-Wish course very much in detail, and the sentence that I really like how to describe this is that you are a living, breathing, walking magnetic alchemist. So it's really in your hands. But like any magician, like any alchemist, they use formulas. They use precise commands. They are specific. And our little default as human beings is that we are not specific. We are very vague, and we think that our vague idea of what we want is good enough. Well, it's not, because it doesn't register in that way. When we crafted the Guys Your Wishes who were with us on the course, you remember how difficult it was to be specific, to narrow it down.
What you really want.
And to even understand what you want, because we are not used to be specific. Yet, the universe, subconscious mind, or anyone, they need a concrete order if you want to get exactly that what you want. Otherwise, you would send to some kind of online clothes boutique. Well, I want something fluffy, something light, something pink, something that goes with my bag. You don't do that. You understand that you cannot give it into somebody else's hands to interpret what it is that you wanted. Mm-hmm. You have to narrow it down.
So pretty much the way that it works is that subconscious mind will be emitting the programs that it had been recorded all along as you go. Whatever you may be speaking, thinking, it will replay its programs. So we are working with something like trying to manifest something in our life, and we worked, for example, with affirmations. Affirmations sure work to a certain extent. We repeat things 50 times and we try to outpower what the subconscious mind is telling there. But since it's 10,000 times stronger, we are rarely actually able to outpower it. We can put strong willpower to temporarily overpower it, but as long as we are back into the relaxed state, it starts replaying its programs. That's why simply just affirmations by themselves don't work, especially in the cases when our subconscious program is pushing the direction of the command completely in a different direction. So we have to check actually what is programmed in our subconscious mind before we are able to manifest pretty much anything at all.
Yeah, it's not exaggerated to say that you are what you think. Yeah, it literally is that you are what you think. So now we have been trained to think positively. So that's another trap, because we think that we think positively, so our life should be positive. And, even in kind of public bathrooms, I have seen now these written with a lipstick on the mirror, "You are beautiful." So it's a good attempt. It's a good attempt to create the sense of self-worth, except that, the teacher, the mother, whoever has with a pointed finger said that you are not beautiful and not worthy and not this and not that when you were 5, that is such a strong command imprinted that no matter how much you repeat the the opposite, it will not work, because you will not be able to conjure the authentic feeling about it. So someone who really has a low self-esteem cannot change it just by saying I'm powerful, I'm beautiful, I'm wonderful, because they cannot conjure the feeling that goes with it. You know, if you don't feel worthy, that's what your feeling is. No matter what you say, the feeling is that you don't feel cool. Yeah.
So you're saying I'm worthy, I'm beautiful, and this one 10,000 more times. No, you're not.
Nobody wants to be with you. Like, nobody wants to be with you.
Like, no, I really think I am. I'm great, I'm beautiful, I'm seeing it in the mirror, and this one is ha ha ha. No, you're not. So like, we actually need to also look there.
So
and actually, Carolina,
that
reminds me, Clementina, sorry, reminds me of your question about being busy. Somewhere in your subconscious mind, there is a program that to be successful, one must be busy. It cannot come easy, something of that sort. So if we would examine your subconscious beliefs, we would find the kernel of need must to be busy somewhere.
Yeah, you're the boss, and the subconscious mind carries out the orders. So if the boss says, I have no time, subconscious mind says, okay, boss doesn't want to have time, so let's make sure she has not 1 minute for herself. And starts arranging events, people, they're bumping in, they're calling, all the time, everything takes too much. Boss said she has no time, we deliver.
Just like really like a crew. You had a great illustration.
Yeah, so partially you can imagine that it's like the boat. Conscious mind is the captain that sets the vision and where it wants to go. But the one that makes the boat go is the machinery, the guys that are in
the engine people.
In the engine room. And they just make it happen. So they don't know what is going on. They have no visibility of where you want to go. So wherever you are steering, they're going with
based
pleasure.
On what they carry in their memory and software.
So if the boss says, I have no time, the subconscious mind will make everything possible to make this to be true.
And this is interesting actually to tell how actually the reality gets formed by the content of our subconscious mind. Because to us it looks, that whenever you pay attention to something, it seems like it's all around. So, you are pregnant, all of a sudden everybody's kind of having babies, everybody's pushing the babies in the strollers and all that. So you are filtering your attention to see this that you are currently concentrated on. Well, imagine that all the beliefs that we have in our subconscious mind are actually magnetizing us to experience the world as concentrated by those beliefs that it's projecting all the time. So, for example, if you have the belief that you must be busy, then this is literally what gets your attention gets magnetized in only this type of circumstances. It's not that your life is realistically must be like that, but it seems that you only see those versions of your reality that correspond to what you carry in your subconscious mind. That's why it's so limiting. If you have limiting beliefs, whatever comes in our life completely matches what the commands are seeded around those programs that we carry.
Mm-hmm. That's why they're called limiting beliefs. And so, for example, if the boss says, I cannot afford it, like looking at expensive thing, I cannot afford it. Subconscious mind, of course, dutifully obeys and makes sure, okay, boss doesn't want to have it, and make sure that you have no access to that kind of income which would allow you to buy the thing that you cannot afford. So it executes the order you cannot afford. When you put your attention in a faking, fake until you make it, that you cannot afford it, but you go in luxury shops and start looking at things and thinking, I can afford it in order to change it. If you cannot, again, come up with a real feeling that you can, it will be just counterproductive words. So that's why it's the most difficult to change these limiting beliefs by acting as the opposite, because it's very difficult to come up with a feeling when you know that the truth is not. Like, for example, there's exercise for people to, increase wealth by going into luxury shops, trying on things, trying on expensive watches. But even the shop attendants, they feel the one who has a scarcity program, they smell it, that the one who enters the shop and is doesn't have the money to buy things, they know it, because you are walking around with a certain, as Hannah said, the subconscious baggage, that other people can perceive. So if you don't have money and you're aware of you don't have money, but you want to fake it anyways, and you enter an expensive shop where you literally can't buy anything, the shop attendant will feel that you can't buy anything, and you will not be able to convince yourself truly, because you cannot come up with a real feeling of being able to afford it. So those exercises are worthy to start doing something, but they can't fundamentally change the limiting condition overnight, because that limiting condition is seeded somewhere and comes from some specific much larger complex issue.
Giacomo said that there are ways to work with trauma in the limbic brain, and this is true. Actually, we have some alchemical ways with which we work on these subconscious programming. However, what's important is to understand what they are first, because otherwise we kind of don't even know what we are working with. A lot of those limiting traumatic experiences come from the actual experience of birth. I think we covered that in one of our previous sessions. Stanislav Grof worked a lot with his patients about that, and then regressing them through non-ordinary states of consciousness. The birth event is super traumatic one. We are actually going through the event where we are almost dying. We are, first living in this bliss. There are these 4 phases of birth. First is when we are living in a womb as a water creature. We are immersed in water, and we are delivered all the food through the umbilical cord. So we are actually in a state of bliss, not needing everything. Everything is provided. And then at some point, the contractions start, and somebody is trying to push us out from this super comfortable place, and actually starts hurting. It starts pushing from all directions, and we start getting into that birth canal, but cervix is not open yet. So that's where we are in one of the most traumatic situations that we can be in, that we are squeezed, we are being crushed, and there is no exit, no way out. And we are literally pushed out of our paradise, so to speak. So this is where a lot of initial trauma is starting to gather. We are in this situation, it's extremely unpleasant, we are dying, and there is absolutely no way out. We don't know why it's happening, and it's actually happening, and it hurts. So that's that first. Second phase is being pushed, cervix is not open yet. Then, and this is where the existential despair gets seeded. That's where being helpless and unable to do anything gets seeded. And all of those
being
feelings.
Alone,
abandoned, and
clueless, stuck.
Exactly. And this angst about life and about the world gets imprinted right then and there. Then cervix opens, we start being pushed out, and then the real pain actually starts acting. So we are almost crushed, we are almost suffocating. A lot of babies are actually need to be reanimated when they are born, because they couldn't breathe. Well, there are cases that they are actually born like blue and all this. Anyway, it certainly hurts both the mother and the baby to be squished through this. And that's where interestingly, in these phases, our initial connection with sexuality also starts to happen. And this is not completely clear why, but in these phases, our initial connection with sexuality starts to get seeded, and in this very problematic combination with pain, angst, and very foul, like body liquids and stuff like that. So this is another phase, and then the last phase is getting out. Umbilical cord is cut. All of a sudden we have to start breathing, and that hurts as well. Putting that air first time in our lungs. So in these 4 phases, we have been imprinted lots of archetypical trauma, so to speak. So this is another seed of our programming that later on we start literally seeing the world based on what we have lived through in those 4 phases of the birth. So that begins to be another place where we need to revisit later on and clear all those things. So something to be aware of. That's where the programming also gets implanted.
Well, this initial birth programming, that's our software for life, because eventually, parents confirm it, and events in life confirm it. Only our astrology confirms it. And this is the conscious work of actually getting out of that initial programming. And it can be done only through subconscious. There's no way you can ever come up to the level of positive thinking that counteracts your need for attention, for example. You can tell no matter how much that you are good as you are, like you're enough for yourself, you don't need anyone's approval, you don't need anyone's validation. Well, deep down you know it's not true, and you will recognize if you're really, really truthful to yourself, yes, attention matters, validation matters, and you're never too sure about yourself anyways. So that's where we're tricking ourselves, because we have this amount of books that teach us the positive thinking, and it has a psychological effect, I would say, but it doesn't really treat these deeply seated subconscious traumas. And why not? Because subconscious actually works in these very specific ways with commands. And the way to imprint it instantly without hypnosis or like meditation is either a strong shock or super repetition. This is the way to consciously kind of imprint. And the strong shock is somebody yelling at us with pointed finger. When we're like, for the first 7 years of our life, we are pure subconscious. We don't, we are recording everything. So anyone screaming at us with pointed finger imprints it so deeply, Anna Kocheva, you know what I'm talking about, that there's no amount of thinking you can repair it with. Yeah. If you have like somebody, the first time that you call official like establishment on the phone, you're maybe 12 or 13, you have to call something, and they are unkind to you and kind of snap. That gets imprinted. That first wrong phone call gets imprinted for life. And no amount of convincing, but there's nothing to be afraid of, why don't you call, why don't you pick up the phone, no amount of convincing will ever help. So strong emotion or shock, or like absolute repetition. So someone could, like, with a lot of yelling, destroy a child's self-worth in exactly 3 minutes, or slowly repeating how not good enough you are. Both would do the thing. So the way to switch it around will not come from any kind of exercises, because it's just not as powerful as the method that it was imprinted in, yeah? And that's where we need techniques. We need either hypnotherapy or belief work, or as as you said, shadow work, really diving and removing the seed where it has been planted. That is the only thing that works. It works instantly and it never comes back. From our experience of years and years of doing exactly that, when you manage to find where it has been directly programmed in, and you remove and reprogram it from there, it works instantly and it never comes back.
So when we go, how this works is a little bit like those apps without icons. Apps don't have icons, we cannot access them from the conscious mind. But if we know enough the map of our hard drive, we know where the hidden folder is that holds these apps. If we go right there into that subconscious mind, part of the subconscious mind where they have been implanted, we can simply delete the apps from the invisible folder. And all of a sudden they're not there anymore. Your energy is back instantly to the neutral state how it was at birth. And then we can do whatever we want with that energy. It's not anymore, it doesn't hold that piece of software anymore. So that's what we want. We want to work with that level of precision that we access exactly the place where they are stored. And exactly the app, and not like little subfolders, so that the core app is still there.
Mm-hmm. And Gitika is asking, is the seed always planted in this conscious life? Yeah, it is always planted in this conscious life. It might have been planted because there's a preponderance and luggage from the past life, that's for sure. But the seed is always like, we manage to create the circumstances that plant the seed for this life's trauma, because we have, yeah, you can find in the past lives, but the only thing is that in this life we have the body, so we have to retrieve it from this life. In past lives we might have a memory and a visual, because sometimes in this life we don't even have that big of experience that would justify a trauma. Like nothing really happened. For example, I had a happy childhood, and like really nothing really big happened, big bad happened. But the unfinished business from past lives has a lot of energy, but the seed is still in this life. And because in this life we have the body, we have the memory, we have the active subconscious mind, from this life is the easiest to liberate anything from anywhere. And we have precise techniques for that. So regardless of where was the most weight, the seed is in this life.
It's interesting to also observe this state of what had happened in past lives and what is the collective trauma of the whole humanity on which we can work. Depending on kind of what's in our spiritual path, we might need to first clear our own stuff until we are afforded the access to the collective, because what is our own is usually much louder. So this is what we get to first, and if we don't really clear that, then working on some sort of past life things or attempt to work in the collective is just plucking the leaves. It doesn't have enough power. However, when we clear our main blockages, what then starts showing up is the collective. And then we are able to use something similar, but we need to go to the deeper level where actually the collective memory is stored. So
it's like clearing the cache, like from your computer, those files that you have no idea where they came from, why they're there, but they have something to do with you. When you are browsing the internet, you are browsing, it's your interest, it's your thing, and it gets parts of everything else, and then every now and then we just have to reset and clear it completely. I would just love to illustrate something we don't usually hear, which is the real kind of instant power of subconscious mind. We're not talking about something that you might get if you would be able to just say stop it to any of your problems right now and do it with enough of conviction, the thing can change instantly. Like those miraculous healings when people are in wheelchair and then suddenly they walk, is because they're that interference which is in that little box that I spoke about, that has been removed, and instantly there's no more need for any physical any physical manifestation for it. In the book Holographic Universe of Michael Talbot, he describes very interesting cases, and they're fully documented and fully available for examination, that, for example, people with multiple personality disorder, those are people who live between, 5 to 15 different characters. But when it's a disorder, we all have that, but, we somehow keep it together. But people who have this disorder fully embody from 3 to 15 different personalities, which have their proper kind of way of speaking, seeing
fully
the world,
fully
formed characters, different voice, etc. And they have documented how the physical body, which we think, it can't change in 2 seconds. Whatever you have, you have. If you have diabetes, you have diabetes. It's not possible that for 5 minutes you don't have it. So how physical body reacts to the change in these personalities. So, for example, there are 9 sub-personalities, and all of them are allergic to orange juice, except one. So when the multiple is in its non-allergic personality, it can drink orange juice, nothing happens. If it snaps into another personality, it will have a huge
allergy comes back,
rush and everything. So some personalities are having diabetes, and it's something that is easily to check, with a blood test. But when the personality snaps into another one that doesn't have diabetes,
all results changed instantly. So this means is that body really reacts instantly to the changes from the inside, and that has been documented, proven, and there is evidence that you can check on that, which means that our body is super flexible and super malleable moment to moment.
Yeah. Another example, for example, the people with like mental disabilities, they don't know that cancer is deadly. So they just don't have cancer. They have astonishing studies made on people in mental institutions, which very rarely get cancer, because they don't know that is something deadly. Another woman that was described in the book is fascinating. She's just like simple-minded woman that gets colds and stuff like that, normal like cold and flu, and then she's diagnosed with tumor. And well, luckily for her, she doesn't know what is tumor, like, so what? And nobody dared to tell her that it's deadly, that she's gonna die, and all that. So she approached her brain tumor, which is deadly, and the doctors had very low expectancy for life. She approached it as a cold and just had a mindset to deal with it as if it was just another, little problem. And of course, she was completely cured, and nothing to... no traces of that brain tumor, because she didn't know it's deadly. Yeah. So this is how powerful that subconscious is. If we have associated something to be deadly, poisonous, etc., it will be. For example, in my experience, yogurt that has passed one day of its like whatever is written on the thing, with my mind I understand, okay, it's a yogurt, it's fermented anyway, so I am not gonna die if I eat a yogurt after the expiration date. But people who have put in their mindset that expiration date means that one day after it
is
will
poison.
cause problem. I have literally seen people eating that yogurt, which is like few days off, and get diarrhea and stomach pain and etc. And not because of the yogurt in any ways. It's because of what they think about it. So you can examine those associations that you have for yourself of what you consider deadly, dangerous, possible, impossible to cure from. Let's take the virus, anything, and you will see that you will reap what you sow in every single case. It never misses. How you think about life, this is how you are served, because the subconscious mind you're the boss, and he brings you exactly what you believe. If you believe you can die from the virus, well, probably the subconscious will manage to create the situations that confirm it. Yeah. So that also proves the hypochondriac person's
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecies. It all comes from there. Yeah.
Luca, you wanted to ask or add something? We don't hear. Oh, maybe this is off. Let me see.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, you already pointed out what I wanted to say. Isn't this exactly what has been happening for the last,
Yes,
let's say, 2 years? So trying to push everybody in a mass psychosis that they're gonna die from something that we used to take as a minor health problem. Of course, always we had people dying from respiratory diseases, because it's just the way life goes. When you get old, of course, you can more easily have a serious problem. But I was observing when we got COVID in beginning of January. I was observing myself and my mind when it all started, and I take myself as a let's say more than average in resistance to this mass programming. But still, the mind still tried to go into those ways that they were trying to program us. So even I had to, correct the mind again and again. No, this is a normal thing. We just, it's just a cold. We have to, sleep it off. We need a few days to recover, and it's okay. And this is how it was. But the mind tried to panic.
And to go into fear.
Yeah. So
oh no, what if something goes wrong? Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
So I think for people that are, pretty much every day watching the news and, just taking all that garbage into their subconscious without even knowing it, it must be really super hard to keep their focus and to, just to stay relaxed and to trust, the process, that it will be okay.
Yeah, absolutely right,
Luca.
Thank you for sharing this. And well, this is part of the training. Like, the humanity is getting super, like, it's a boot camp. We are getting a boot camp in which we're actually practicing to ignore and just shield away, like mirror away any attempts at programming, and actually keeping the deeper connection and developing the deeper connection out of which this can just bounce off. This is like super effective boot camp training that's going on. And actually, I just read recently that little saying that when you are in a state of emergency or hardship is when it becomes really obvious how difficult it is to work with your mind. Because when we meditate in normal, calm situations, well, yeah, fine. But imagine like there is like, some disaster coming, like there's fire, there is like earthquakes. Well, meditate then. stay in your connection then, you know. So it's a super training, and we need to have that training, you know. It's because where we are going as a humanity is literally very much higher level of being able to interact together, experiences that we are going to be able to embody, and so forth. So we need this training. We need to grow up in a way as a species.
Well, back to what's going on. You know, you mentioned the TV and all those programming tools. Yeah. So have you noticed that on the TV you have TV programs? Yeah. So how direct is that? It's not even hidden. So the TV programs have been created to do exactly that, to use the technique of images. So, you know, Anna, you'll understand the Oracle Girl speaks about the technique of images, because the subconscious mind always works with images. Images, archetypes, and any information embedded in the image goes unchecked and goes straight to the subconscious mind, because our conscious mind tries to make sense out of the words. Subconscious mind receives the pictures, the red letters, the blinking headlines. So there's a whole study, if you look up on internet, it's fascinating how things have been encoded in, for example, when you have those breaking news running under the screen, well, you might not even read them, but your subconscious mind registers it all. Usually those most alarming news are the ones that run under the screen. So that programming tool has thrown a lot of junk, whether we know or don't know, in our subconscious. And at some point, you know, even for us, it accumulates and kind of gels together and forms an opinion or a secret kind of, you know, feeling of fear that maybe there's something. And actually the way the virus thing works, virus is just information, it's not a thing, yeah? It's just information. But repeatedly hearing about it from all sources associated with like dramatic music, specific images, words, blinking red letters, etc. Like there's no escape but being programmed to somehow interact with that information. And how much it finds a resonance within us and can actually affect our health or not, it's also in our hands. Yeah, it's in our hands, because from one side we could say, okay, I have a bulletproof immune system, nothing can touch me. But even the bulletproof immune systems can be hacked with the subconscious seed of what if, you know. The moment that you allow yourself the thought, what if I got it? Yeah, it's already an opening, an invitation, and when you are empathically connected to someone who has it. So it works on that level, where again, you're the boss saying, what if? And the subconscious mind says, wanna try? I can get you, you know? So it dutifully brings that what you are thinking about. And even if you don't allow yourself to dwell too much consciously on it, subconsciously you might hear more than you would like about it. Yeah, especially now, and that's why TV programs are delivering the news in this very specific way, and they have studied it, they know exactly how it works.
Yeah,
technique of images.
So to call news, because these are actually now very like open, you know, programming tools. So bottom line is that subconscious mind is programmable, even if, you know, we don't want it to be. So we have to really establish the method, literally the hygiene method for subconscious mind, and to actually have our weekly showers or daily showers, and to check if we have some programming affected by, you know, whatever we want to check. Am I on any level affected by, you know, these beliefs of fear and guilt that are being, you know, blast it at us everywhere. And if I do, let me release it. So literally we have to adopt the method of weekly clearing of our subconscious mind. This is where we are at.
Yeah, in Bali there's a cool possibility to have subconscious mind showers in the sacred springs. They are designed to demagnetize these extra annoyances. But well, we don't realistically have a possibility.
I haven't heard you guys, Luca, but I thought you said we have to go to Bali. Yes, we will.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said.
I could see, I could feel this. I could feel what you said. So yeah, we hope to see you guys there. We are also planning to go very soon.
So, okay.
Sorry, go ahead now.
We don't have a possibility to bounce every uninvited subconscious programming off us. Yeah, it's already enough with all that we have, plus all that we receive, plus everything coming from the phones, etc. Even reading a book on the phone, you're interacting basically with electromagnetic field of a phone. Yeah, and you think that you're reading information, but you're staring at a piece of technology in your hand. So those ways, there's like literally, it would take you the whole day to get rid of what comes in you during the day. So it's not efficient. But there are like some secret loops that we have found along the way, which can actually deactivate your programmability big time. And it has to do with our weaknesses, those weaknesses that Vittorio mentioned at the birth, when we feel stuck, when we feel abandoned, lonely, and helpless. So if we could implant a very, very strong couple of programs in our subconscious, which have to do with, for example, trust, yeah, and weeding out completely the question of self-worth. If only we could get this one thing right about the trust, yeah, our subconscious mind would become our biggest defensor, and by itself not allow anything that comes from outside to touch us. Yeah, a couple of teas ago we spoke about bringing that outer trust to inner trust. So imagine that you program yourself to have absolute trust in your inner guidance, trust in the bigger picture, and trust in the nature and life, whatever your fundamentals are, and you bring it and you command, and nothing that comes from outside will alter the trust that I have inside. Well, guess what your subconscious is going to do? It's going to bounce off absolutely everything that is in contradiction with this one truth that you have established. It will just not allow it in. It will not allow in events, information, or any kind of bombardment that contradict, because the boss said we trust in ourselves. So what you say doesn't really matter. So it would be a protective shield. Those of you who have seen the movie Inception, you remember when they tried to implant the seed in subconscious -4, yeah?
Fourth level of dream.
Fourth level of dream. And you saw that they had very limited amount of time to do the transaction, because the person's subconscious guardians started to notice that their architecture is being altered. So they started to attack this information that was coming out of somewhere. So it exists. It's a whole complex science of how to defend yourself on a subconscious level from any kind of programming. High-level executives do that. It's very specific, but it's possible. But you can do it by getting these couple of fundamentals right for you. So anything that does not correspond to that information will have to fall off. Yeah.
We will be actually offering a program on this, where we'll do like a short program where we address those topics at birth and topics of the whole of the heart, and we will actually present you with the tools that we have developed to actually quickly go and transmute these things and build in those inner guardians. So I will send you all an information when this is available. It's coming up. This is one of the things that we are designing.
And it's fundamental to bring more and more awareness to this interaction that we have, constant interaction with our subconscious. The more we can pay attention to it every day, and there's one place, it's difficult to see what's in there, but easy if you know that what's in your subconscious is what you see in your outer picture, like one-to-one, not even altered. Whatever your subconscious is programmed to bring you, you will see outside. And whatever you don't like in your picture, you have to find, like, where's the command that made that happen for me? You know, where is that command? And going down the thread, which will eventually bring to that same birth trauma. For example, for me, the impatience, like, however I tried to work on it and found millions of reasons for, like, this impatience, eventually the one that actually worked was this, you know, when you are impatient to born because you're really, really stuck in a super unpleasant situation. And that impatience, when it comes from this fundamental place, together, as we said, with strong emotion, pain, or something like that, these are the strongest emotions. And they have to be specifically addressed in that same way. Yeah. So you can also alter your life with strong emotions if you really, really want something, and you can be jumping of joy and truly experiencing exalted set of emotions. Whenever you feel that, remember to wish for something, because then you have enough of energy to carry your wish forward. Yeah. But just simple repetition of any kind of affirmation is very unlikely to work. Hypnotherapy works because it bypasses the mind and goes straight to what you need to see, but you need to be expertly guided, because also it's immense. Your subconscious mind is immense library that stores every file. How do you know which book is the one that will change your reality? There are many of them, you know. Our most kind of, our favorite patterns have a book per day. Yeah, so which one you choose? So you need to know what you're looking for. That's awareness. And then you will find where to go to bring it about. So anyways, on a daily basis, you can do at least as much as affirming the perfection, the feeling, you know, every time cultivating the feeling. How would you like to be? How would you like to feel? Because even if you just bathe after your meditation in a feeling of peaceful, harmonious, beautiful kind of, you know, ambience, this is also going and imprinting your subconscious, and he says, oh, the boss likes that kind of feeling, so let us bring more of it. Yeah, we have a funny technique when we're like really excited, or we have done something that we really, really like. We say, we want more of this, we want more of this 3 times. So when we say 3 times, subconscious takes it seriously, because 1 time you can just say it like, oh, whatever. 2 times, still it's not that. 3 times, it starts imprinting. So when you catch yourself in something that you really want, don't hesitate to repeat it 3 times. I want more of this. It goes straight as an order. Oh, boss likes this kind of situations. Let me bring more of that. And it actually does. It actually does bring, because the subconscious by itself doesn't care what kind of experiences. You everything is available. Oh, you like this? Okay. Let me just bring it to you. So working simultaneously in weeding out that what you don't agree with and implanting that what you want. And like this, slowly the life starts rolling exactly in the way that you want, in the way that you have designed. And that's where we become really the architects of our reality, when we consciously choose that what we're excited about, and that what we want to see in our life. So energy follows the thought, yeah? Energy follows the thought, and especially if the thought is charged with emotion. That's why the angry thoughts come true very literally, because it's strong emotion and precise thought. If you can manifest that energy and precise thought for positive things, they will also happen. You can use the subconscious mind as a source of infinite knowledge. That's where everything that you want to be, you can be. Those altered personalities, the multiple personalities, they have different set of skills. For example, one of the personalities is excellent mathematician, and when the personality is in that, it can solve like complex mathematic problems. It's the same mind, right? And when the alter goes to some other personality, it cannot add up a simple equation, which means that the reality is very subjective. It's subject to how much we allow ourselves to experience and be. Because otherwise it wouldn't be possible that one physical body can and cannot do mathematics at the same time, or has and doesn't have diabetes at the same time. We're talking about one person and one physical body. So these things wouldn't be possible if we were not living in a holographic universe where our allowance, our, let's say, inner laws determine the scope of our experience. So that's where we have this beautiful possibility of becoming truly magicians and alchemists in working on how much more I want to allow myself to be.
The point where we are going towards is to actually be able to download per need or per desire the skill and ability from the collective consciousness of the species. So if I want to know how to play piano and play some advanced Chopin pieces tomorrow, then I decide to download this from the collective and to actually do it. Same goes to experience some extreme sports or anything else, because it does happen. It does happen that somebody had a head injury and in few months they are playing piano all of a sudden. Where is this coming from? They have never played it in their life. So it is already happening. Now where we are going with this is that we will be able to do it by will. And that's why we are stretched to actually exercise, well, the thickness of our energetic body to download and experience these things. Mm-hmm. Because we have been, we are evolving in that way. In psychedelic states of mind, we are actually very close to being able to see and experience this. Now we have to be able to bring it and do it also when we are in regular state of mind.
You can think about it like this. You're actually omnipotent and omniscient. Like, you know everything and you can be everything. You just have no idea that you can. And you were absolutely told that you can't. And you believed it at some point. So the journey here is in understanding who told you that you can't, and at which point you believed that you can't. So instead of going to acquire more competencies, more freedom, more money, or more something, you just get back to normal, which is the nature's natural flow of full kind of the easiest way to the most abundance. This is how nature works. Nature is very efficient and very kind of precise with energy. So if we would live in the natural state and non-altered state, we would be happy, healthy, abundant, and everything would come easy, because that's how nature works. So who said us, who told us otherwise, and why did we believe? Those are the questions.
So the work is inner work, going back to actually forming strong beliefs in this interconnectedness to the collective pool of abilities, and to actually going deeper and asking regularly to download things from there and to kind of start really operating and working with this. This is one. Another task is going deeper into that, what we said at the very beginning, and in that merging of our own with the larger energetic pool, merging our lake into the ocean of collective consciousness. This is where it's at. The way out is in, as we know. So this is where we need to go, in that direction, to develop these skills and abilities. Not even to develop, to unlock them, to remember that we have them.
Mm-hmm. So we have still a little bit of time. Do you have any questions about it?
Yes, Clementina. Oh wait, sorry, I think our speaker is Okay, now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Something that just came up when you said about merging of our own with the collective consciousness, and there was like a subtle fear, which I know it's huge, on the unconscious level. For me, there is fear there about, and I've gone really far in knowing how to protect myself, but I feel there's still like some kind of fear, and I do feel this is coming from past lives potentially, from what I've learned. So yeah, that just came up, that subtle fear. I was like, just observing that is so interesting. So I'm not allowing myself actually to do that right now.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to go down that fear and see what is it fear of. Is it a fear of losing your identity, or is it a fear of kind of catching some kind of bad vibes? So which one is it?
Yeah, I know what it is. It's fear of the void. It's fear of darkness, and if I show my light, if I shine too bright, I feel that I can be taken advantage of. People could steal my light, or that I could have more darkness, and I wouldn't know how to deal with that. So yeah, it's about diving into that void and losing control.
Well, yeah, and then you have a long version is digging and excavating why and what. Yeah, and that can take months and years to deal with it. Or the shortcut is, again, bring it back to the trust. You trust that you will have experience that is the most beneficial, and that you will have enough power to deal with it when it comes. Like, our default mechanism is to be afraid of everything beforehand. And we're afraid because we don't know. We're afraid to be overwhelmed or taken advantage of. But it's, you're afraid of your own mind's projection about what it could be, because you don't know. So you project a random image and you are feeling into it, and you're afraid of it. So you're afraid of your own imagination. So how about that you collapse your
expectations,
your imagination, and just go for one simple truth. I trust that I will get the experience that I need, and I will be able to deal with it in the best possible ways that I can. I'll be the supported, and I'll know exactly what to do in the moment. Yeah. So
I love that shortcut, and I definitely feel it can work for me. And I can see how I'm sabotaging myself by just doing little things or not doing the little things that are so important on a day-to-day basis. Like my morning routine in the long version and all that. So yeah, I think that will work really well if I stop just sabotaging myself in these little ways, because that's going to increase the self-trust and the self-respect, and Yeah.
One more thing
we
to
can actually share the super video that we live by, which is Stop It. We'll share it in the group, and those of you who haven't seen it, that's the recipe. That's the ultimate recipe.
This is
for
the
everything.
shortcut. But actually something to keep in mind is the default mode of existence of everything in this universe is joyful light. So when there are no blockages, when there are no these bad expectations, everything is this joyful unfolding. That's what is our default way of functioning. We see it in children. They're happy for no given reason. They're just joyful to interact with existence.
And they trust.
They absolutely trust, and they don't have any choice. But there shouldn't even be any choice, because it is all a big game of consciousness.
They trust. They trust that they'll get the food. You know, they don't have to go and hunt for food. Normal children, they trust that they'll be fed when the time comes.
So something to always keep in our daily awareness is the default way of my living and my unfoldment in the universe should be this joyful, peaceful curiosity. That's what it is. If it's not that, it means that there are some programs that are actually encroaching in my normal way of being. And then we look at what these programs are. Because everything around us is joyful. Look at these plants. Look at the amazing lush trees. Look at the kitties, like a cat who is like super enjoying, sleeping in front of the fireplace. It is, nature can teach us a lot. Nothing in nature is fearful. Nature lives fully and celebrates life. And we are part of nature. So when we actually tune into these spheres, it is a very narrow band of frequencies that we can very easily get out of if we don't give them additional attention and importance.
And also the question, you can always ask the question, am I afraid of my own projection of the worst case scenario? Or is it real? And it will never be real, because it will always be your projected image in the future that you tune into, feel in, and you don't feel like it, So that's a way to check.
Any other comments, questions, something you would like to know?
In our culture, it's very typical for people to think about what others will think of us, especially the neighbors, what will the neighbors say, So I think when it comes to this blissfulness or inner state, actually other people don't know in what state we are, because it doesn't really show. I mean, of course you can, if you're blissful, you're usually not showing a sad face. But the real experience of blissfulness is not shown outwards. What I want to say is, when you meet a saint, you can't really tell that he's a saint just by looking at him with physical eyes. So I think this worry about what people will say if I delve too deep in myself is. Has no substance, because no one will know, It's just our own experience.
That's true. At the same time, you can also just stop it and not give importance to what others will say or think, because it is very localized. It's one of those like mental triggers. It's called the social proof. So we are kind of seeking it because we think that we're going to die alone and lonely if we don't. But it's another one of those who, if you go deep enough, it's going to fall off.
So the root for this is the self-worth, and this constant kind of measuring of worth, which is one of the things that we need to completely weed out, because it's absolutely mental concept. It's not backed up by anything real, and it will never be. Plus it's unfulfillable. So we'll probably dedicate more time next week to speak about self-worth and what it is really, because you see at which point it's really toxic in our lives to orient everything around the self-worth and self-non-worth, and to which extent we always go to cater for that feeling of self-worth. Unfulfillable, yeah. So that is another topic to look into, self-worth, and it of course comes from birth as everything, and refers to fear of being alone and abandoned. And
that's why I have to cater to what my environment thinks about me, because if not, I will be cast out of my tribe, blah blah blah,
and I'll die.
Yeah.
So you see,
not sustainable.
Good, not sustainable, and that's a good material to kind of replace with something more fun.
Yeah, thank you though, Luca, for the insight.
Yeah, and thank you, Clementina, for idea of the topic about creativity and creation. It's very much linked to subconscious, because the creativity exists when we have access to it, which is this thread that goes into this infinite field of possibilities where every idea that you can and cannot think of resides, and how to make that connection a little bit more permanent and conscious. That's also a very good good question. Yeah.
And when it comes to creativity, just something that we will talk about that when it comes to be a topic. But plugging into the future timelines and actually feeling into what is already there in future and then bringing it here, it's one of the approaches that we like to use.
So voila, if no more questions and comments, then we leave you to ponder on this beautiful opportunity where you are the magic wand. You just don't really know about it.
You know it to a certain extent, and just we want to remind you to know it even more.
And work consciously. Well, we'll get back to that, because we realize that it's quite something to be able to sculpt your reality, to architect your reality. So we'll keep getting back to it and reminding it. But this was the intro to the topic, and very happy to have you here, and huge hugs to you, beautiful faces, and thank you for showing up. Thank you for staying with videos. It's really feels cozy and beautiful to see your faces. And hugs also to those who watch us later.
And actually,
so
thank you
much
for
love
these
to
ideas
everyone.
about what topics you would like us to cover. And as a matter of fact, if you come up with something you would like to delve deeper in, give us some suggestions in maybe Telegram group or as a comment in a YouTube video, any of those. Tell us what you would like to, what's coming up and what you would like to learn more about. We'll be happy to cover those.
So we're not always joining in live, but we keep in touch all the time through the videos that you record in sessions. So we are very grateful for you to do all this work for us, because sometimes it's inconvenient for us to be online at this time, but we always enjoy the video also in afterwards. So a big thanks.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being us online, offline, and in our hearts. So we really deeply value everybody's presence and everybody's input. So thank you, and pleasure as always. And until we meet next time, next week, around next cup of tea.
Ciao, big hug. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you so much.